I hit I hit my thing in the stream stuff. No, I think it's shit. Well, shit. Yeah, well, I mean, it's already back up. I can send you the link. Fuck me. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, so my hand hit the thing and it got fucked up. Yeah, we're back. I can actually I can upload the thumbnail again to it. Okay, you know what? That's it. I'm not doing restream anymore. Not again. Because normally, like, if that were to have happened like before, I could have just hit live again and it would have redone it. But since it's through restream, it automatically like closed it out. Like the old stream, like finished it and then created a whole new event and started the stream. Yeah. I think people are slowly getting back over here. Fuck me. I'm so sorry, guys. Tonight's stream is just a clusterfuck, I think. So the Daniel M did a super chat in the last stream. God says that the Israelites are my chosen people, and the Israelites say fuck. Cadence in the chat says, "Don't blame the demons. This is God's doing." Fair Witness says, "I'm sorry. I'll be a good atheist. Don't throw me out again. Lol." Well, yeah, and maybe I just need to take the live button off of my stream deck here because I think maybe that's what I need to do because I'm very animated with my hands and I regularly just fucking hit shit. Yeah, I really am a bull in the fucking China shop. Let's see. Okay, delete. All right, there we go. Deleted that shit. I deleted the live button that way I won't accidentally hit it. So anyways, thanks for everybody coming back to the stream. We got Andy Bannister saying some dumb shit.
Dancing to our DNA, as another atheist writer put it, or as Lawrence Krauss, a very contemporary atheist, famously put it in an essay on one occasion. He said, "We are a 1% bit of pollution in the universe."
I mean, is anybody else? And I don't know how many. Maybe I can make a poll. How many people are just fucking tired of like Lawrence Krauss, Dawkins, Hitchens, and all of them getting brought up whenever these apologists talk about atheism? Fuck, I think I misspelled mentioned. I didn't see the red squigglies until after it posted. Yep. Mention and just fucking forget my drunkenness there. I'm tired of Dawkins and Nietzsche and all of these people. What? Sam Harris, all of these people. I'm really fucking tired of having these people brought up as if there's some kind of authority. I don't care what these people say. I don't care what Ross says. I care what Andy Bannister thinks, not what Lawrence Krauss thinks.
Very helpful and encouraging. But he's right on atheism. And that means your desires, your beliefs, what's going on between your ears right now as you watch this video, that's nothing to do with you freely deciding what to believe or what to desire or what to do. You are simply controlled. The motion of the atoms in your body are controlled by the same laws of physics that control everything else in the universe. You are...
Well, so this needs to have a caveat. Like, it needs to have a star. While we are just biomechanical machines, at the same time, the way we operate is very complicated, and it requires a whole field of science, psychology. It requires a whole field of science in order to understand why people make the dumbass decisions that they do. And he said very specifically that if God doesn't exist, then you have no freedom of choice. And that's just simply not true. We do have freedom of choice. I don't have ultimate free will or like this absolute kind of free will. That I don't believe that people have that. I believe that people have freedom of choice, that they can choose between the options that naturally present to them. And like for me, it doesn't naturally present to me to get an AR-15 and go out and kill a couple people. That doesn't naturally present to me. Other people feel a natural inclination to grab a gun and kill people. So there's a big difference there between those two situations. So I mean, just because we don't have ultimate free will or absolute free will doesn't mean that we don't have the freedom to choose things. And just because we are biomechanical machines doesn't mean that we're not complicated and that we don't have several options for us to freely choose from whenever we're making decisions about things. So I feel like it just needs a little bit of a caveat there. We got Cernian, who says, super tired of people assuming they represent me. I know, right? I don't presume that I represent anybody. I feel like I represent myself. And there are plenty of issues that both KC and I disagree on. So I just, I don't understand why these people have to try to lump all atheists in as like one monolithic group or this one monolithic idea. It's kind of funny because not even Christians you can lump together as having like a monolithic idea unless you just go for the very basics of Christianity, being that Jesus died and he resurrected and he absolves sins. After that point, like you've got totally different ideas in every single denomination about the faith. And you could do the same thing with atheism. Like, sure, we're all monolithic in that we don't believe in a God, but that's as far as you can go with that. And I'm just really tired of being lumped in with like, shitty people. Cadence says GE is my spirit animal. Dawkins is not. That's a good point. I'm your spirit animal. Gobble till you wobble, y'all. That deserved that. Oh, apparently Megan and Shannon Q are your spirit animal. Yeah. Let's see. Right now, we're at 86% yes, tired of Dawkins. 14% no, not tired of Dawkins. Be sure to vote. Yes, Megan is a Christian.
Simply a robotic vehicle driven by the laws of physics. Freedom 2 has gone another implication of atheism.
But it's really not. I mean, I feel like I have way more freedom in my choices and way more freedom to be myself and everything like that since I left religion. And I'm not saying that that's indicative of everybody that leaves religion or anybody that's in a religion feels oppressed or feels, this restrictive sort of lifestyle. But I do feel like after I left religion, I had much more freedom. Like I had much more freedom to just do not necessarily what I wanted, but to do things that made me happy. And they always paint it as a bad thing to do shit that makes you happy. It's really not. Depending on the thing that makes you happy, like if you're a psychopath and it makes you happy to go out and kill people, like let's just say, right off the top of my head, randomly get an AR-15, go and kill a couple people. I feel like that is not acceptable by society unless you live in America. And then, you know, or alternatively, if I just want to go out and, let's say, give blood, that would be something that like a Jehovah's Witness wouldn't be able to do. They can't give blood. They also can't get a transfusion. And so that's one way that religion restricts you. There's several different ways out there in which religion restricts you. In fact, I've heard from plenty of apologists out there that the restrictive nature, restricting your freedoms, is actually a positive in religion. I mean, is that your experience there, hun? That apologists regularly paint the regularly paint religion restricting your freedoms as a good thing. They regularly do this. So it boggles my mind to hear somebody like, you don't really have freedom unless you believe in God. But also you got to do things that make God happy. You can't do the things that make you happy because as we all know, everybody's shit and they just want to do things that are horrible to each other. That's a really bleak way to view things, huh? We got Daniel M. did a super chat. Let's see. No.
I gotta tell you, I am thankful for my liquor.
I am thankful for my liquor. Daniel M says, I just thought of something I saw off topic for this video though, but I saw a documentary about a guy who is a Christian but is a mythicist. Yeah, those actually are those are out there. There's actually one guy, I believe it's Thomas. I'm not gonna Thomas Brody. That's who it is. Thomas Brody. He's a Christian who is also a mythicist. He believes in Jesus, but he doesn't believe Jesus was a historical figure. He believes in, or he believed. I don't know if he's still alive, but he believed in a celestial Jesus, which I think is perfectly fine. I mean, I feel like it's no different than believing in God. God's never walked the earth, as far as we can tell.
And then the third and final implication of atheism is why, and I often ask my atheist friends why they don't follow through on this, is that I think atheism leads to nihilism.
I'm glad he's just coming out, right out and saying it. But we do have Dave Lee, who did a super chat.
Gobble till you wobble, y'all.
Thank you, Dave Lee, for your super chat. I think bedazzle the covenant should be the code phrase for vibrate the taint. Remember that on date night. You're welcome.
Hey, honey, you gonna bedazzle this covenant?
Mm-hmm. Bedazzle this covenant. Is it?
Nihilism is the belief that there is no meaning, nothing matters, you can do entirely what you want because the outcome is the same.
So, I mean, as far as like being a Christian, I feel like the outcome is the same. Like, how is this different exactly from atheism? Like, especially on some denominations of Christianity, I mean, you can literally do whatever you want to and then just ask for forgiveness. Some denominations require you to be like really sincere about repenting and everything like that. Others out there like the independent fundamentalist Baptists, you just gotta be like, I'm sorry, God, and then you're cool. You and God sort of bro fist, and you're fine. So I mean, it really depends on what denomination you're in, but I really don't see how this is any different. Like he's painting it as if it were different, but it's really not. As far as atheism goes, atheism is not nihilism. Um, in fact, when I left, and I don't mean this to be a monolithic statement or anything like that, but for me personally, when I left religion, I found that this life had vastly more meaning than when it did when I was a Christian. Because when I was a Christian, I focused on what was going to happen after this life. I thought that every single thing I did that I thought was wrong was going to send me to hell. And every single action that I took, I based on whether or not I was going to hell. It all focused on what was going to happen after this life. If it was going to send me to hell, then that's bad. I don't do it. If it's going to send me to heaven, then yay, I do it. Unless it's going to church, which I didn't do all that much. I mean, I did it sometimes, but I wasn't crazy about it most of the time. But my point is that atheism's not nihilism, and I personally found vastly more meaning in this life after I left religion, after I left this belief in God, because I was more focused on the here and now. Like I was focused on my life. I was focused on the quality of my life. I wasn't focused on what was going to happen when I die or after I die or anything like that. I was focused on the things that I can do now to help people. And really in religion, you're just focused on doing whatever you have to do in order to please God. That's not always congruent with doing good things for people. It's doing good things for God. And so you end up with situations like, people being shitty to other people just because they think that they are doing God's work. Like, I actually have a whole list of things over here. Um, like for instance, slavery is one thing that religion's been wrong about, and people thought that God had ordained slavery be a thing and ordained who could be a slave. Um, Also, another thing that God ordained was the fact that women were property. They didn't have the ability to vote or own property or anything like that. Women were, you know, highly objectified in that way. And then of course there's just the rejection of science in general, mainly through like evolution and other means. Like if you don't even want to consider evolution, just think about Ben Franklin and a lightning rod. Now you wouldn't think that a lightning rod would be all that opposed by the religious, but holy fuck, when Ben Franklin developed the lightning rod as a way for people that had to fucking ring the bell on the goddamn church to not get electrocuted during a storm, people were like, "Oh, you're messing with God's plan here. If somebody goes up there to ring the bell and they get struck by lightning, that was ordained by God." And so it all of a sudden, the lightning rods were apparently very against God. They were shit on by the religious. So if you don't want to consider evolution or any of the modern scientific advances, just think about common things that we have now, like lightning rods that are apparently against God. And then I don't know if you guys knew this, but apparently in the 19th century, there was a heavy pushback against pain relief during childbirth. Yeah, the religious were pushing back against pain relief for women during childbirth because they had this notion in the Bible that the pain that you felt during childbirth was a punishment by God. And so you had to feel that pain because God. They can fuck off. Prohibition was another thing. The fucking alcohol prohibition and shit. Yeah. That turned out pretty fucking well, didn't it? It did not. Segregation was religiously motivated. Segregating the schools, segregating society. You can find all of that in the Bible. And then, of course, there's the opposition to contraception. This whole idea, like even the Catholics now are very into the anti-contraception deal. So that's big there. Of course, we got marriage equality and school prayer that are also they're marriage equality religiously opposed, school prayer religiously motivated, obviously. So, I mean, there's all of these things that are obviously bad for society, but obviously I'm the one that just doesn't have any kind of value in this life. Let's see. Alex Baranowski had a super chat there.
Holy shit, this'll buy me a cranberry log.
Cranberry log sounds dirty. Alex Baranowski says punishment from God for being fruitful and multiplying. Well, yeah. So, the punishment came because they ate the fruit in the garden, and so God punished Adam with. I can't remember. I don't think he didn't really dole out a punishment for Adam other than just you're gonna die, bitch. And then there's Eve, who's got the painful childbirth, and then apparently snakes had their legs ripped off, and they have to eat dust, which they don't do. So I don't know. I don't know why people think that's like historical or anything. But apparently, God just ripped the legs off of snakes and made them eat dust. Adam had to toil, so he had to work in the garden. He had to toil the soil.
Ultimately, you see on atheism, you're going to die, your children will die, the human race will one day become extinct, the sun will expand and swallow the earth. Everything comes to an end in the wreck at the end of the universe.
Again, I ask, how is this different on Christianity? I mean, obviously, the universe is going to suffer some kind of heat death. Okay, that comes billions and billions of years, if not a trillion years or whatever the fucking number is, into the future. That's what's going to happen. Okay, regardless if you're sucking Jesus' dick or if you're not, that's going to happen. But everybody dies. And the difference is that he holds on to this idea that we don't die. That we die, but then we resurrect. We come back and we go to heaven. And we're just like, I don't think that that's true. Like we've got all these different ideas about what happens after this life, but we never know. Like we're not going to be able to know. Although this Sunday we are going to go see Ghostbusters, so we might find out then. But the point is that we can't know. And he's acting like he does know. And I think that is what it really gets down to here. That's the big difference. Is that I feel like I'm being far more honest about this because there's no way that I can know. But he thinks he does know because he has a book that says this shit happens. It boggles my mind that people would believe that. We got a new member, Eka Driabo. Let's see, I can I can get you the special little alert for becoming a for becoming a member there. Maybe. Let's see, I can send a test thing. Alerts. All right. Anyways, thank you so much for becoming a member. Then we got Fair Witness, who says Adam's punishment is that Eve has to change her raiment every spring and every fall. Interesting.
So on that basis, why bother doing anything? As you're walking down the street and you see an old person wanting help crossing the road, you could help them cross the road, or you could whack them over the head and steal their pension book. Makes no difference because the outcome is the same.
Huh? Well, yeah. So I think that that's like a British thing. I'm not exactly sure, but I don't see how Christianity says that you should help the person cross the street. Like, I don't see anywhere in the New Testament where Jesus is like, "Thou shalt help old biddies cross the street." Like, I don't see that in the New Testament. In fact, I think that there are definitely scenarios where if you were to follow the Bible, maybe you should stone that person. Like, let's just say you see an LGBTQ person about to walk across the street. Instead of helping them walk across the street or making sure they get over there safe, the Bible would have you pick up a stone and pelt them with it, and get the entire town to pelt them with the stone. So I don't see this as being something in Christianity that's like specific to Christianity or even specifically ordained by Christianity. In Christianity, it tells you to love your neighbor and all this other stuff, but what they don't tell you is that it's really only supposed to be meant for like people in that group, like fellow Christians. If that person's not a fellow Christian, and I mean, by biblical standards, you should probably kill them because that's what the Bible tells you to do. In fact, that's what God tells you to do. So it's really strange to me for somebody to be like, "Oh, if you believe in God, then you would help that person. If you don't believe in God, then it really doesn't matter if you help them or not." I think in Christianity, it doesn't matter if you help them or not. If you don't help that person across the road, you're not going to get sent to hell in Christianity. Just like with atheism, if you don't help that person across the road, nothing's going to happen. I mean, you might feel personally bad about it. Like, let's say that person gets hit by a car or something, you could have stopped that. But I mean, I really don't see a difference between the two worldviews, and that's my point here. Is that he's trying to make it out to be like there's this big difference between the two, but there's really not.
And that bleak reality, I think, has actually kept many atheists awake at night. Bertrand Russell, very famous 20th century atheist, talked about the fact the only certainty is despair, and that's the one foundation we can build on. However, many atheists I meet today, and maybe this describes some of you watching this today, are not willing to embrace that conclusion. Rather, I meet many atheists who want to hang on to things like justice. They want to hang on to ideas like meaning and purpose. They're committed to the idea that they're free and have chosen their beliefs or their lack of beliefs freely.
Well, so I don't think that I choose my beliefs. I think that I become convinced of things and I become unconvinced of things. And I don't think that I necessarily have control over that, at least in the way that he is kind of saying things here. Because like I can't just choose to believe in a God. That's just not something that I have the power to do. I also can't just choose to believe that I should get a gun and go to a protest and kill two people. Like I don't think that I could just choose to believe that that's the right thing to do. And so you don't just freely choose. But to hit on his other points, those are just like things that come up in a complex nervous system, like the idea of justice. These complex, abstract ideas that come up, that's what they are just products of a sophisticated enough central nervous system that we begin to think about these things. I mean, if you go and you look out into the rest of the animal kingdom, you don't find any animal out there just doesn't give a shit about those things. And most of them, you have some slightly intelligent like animals, like sometimes dogs. Dolphins are pretty intelligent. There are intelligent like animals out there in the animal kingdom, but like even dolphins can be dickheads sometimes, but in any case, they can. Fuck Flipper, that's right. But this whole notion of like justice and everything like that, it doesn't just go away once you stop believing in a God. It's still there because it's a consequence of having a sophisticated central nervous system. And by sophisticated, I don't mean that you're smart or anything like that. I just meant that it's developed to the point where those things become prominent to you, or they come up naturally in your thoughts. So, I mean, he's not really distinguishing between the two views. He's just sort of arbitrarily stating that there is a difference and that Christianity is better because atheism can't account for these things, but obviously we can, because these are just natural biological things that happen to organisms with a sophisticated central nervous system.
My challenge to you is, why are you not willing to follow the conclusions of your worldview? Because if you can't live your worldview out, if you can't follow through the implications of atheism, maybe that's a sign that atheism doesn't work. And if all the things that you hold...
Wait, it really, so whether or not I can justify uh, any kind of justice or morality or have meaning in my life, what, regardless of what my personal experience is, whether or not a God exists is something that exists completely outside of myself. Like it literally doesn't matter what I personally believe about that. Because if God does exist, then he does exist, regardless of what I believe. Let's say we got Jason Kolasik, who says, staying awake at night wondering about dog. I'm guessing that's staying awake, and I guess you're making fun of God, dog. I don't know. Let me see if I can get you an alert real quick, though.
Happy Thanksgiving, you heathens.
There you go.
the most dear actually have their foundation, as Nietzsche pointed out, on a belief in God. Maybe it's time to come home to the Christian faith. And I say that not triumphantly or trying to score clever points. I really want my atheist friends to discover that the things that you hold the most dear really are true, and that they make the most sense when they're connected to the Christian faith.
Well, but you see, I don't understand why somebody would think that, because, like, just for instance, with freedom, you're actually far more restricted on religion than you are on not believing in a religion. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me that saying, well, not believing in God means that you don't have freedom anymore. When the freedom that we experience is freedom of choice, and not this ultimate free will that they think that we have. But I see it's much more restrictive under religion than it is under not being part of a religion. And then his first thing was, what was it, morality, how we can't determine or we can't justify right from wrong without a God. And I would say that we're unable to justify things being right and wrong under the idea that what's right is something that pleases God, and what's wrong is something that displeases God. Under that kind of framework, you're right. We can't make any kind of judgments because we don't believe in that framework. But when you take God out of the picture, that means that we have to figure out some kind of way to coexist. We got to figure out some kind of way to determine what's right and wrong in our society. And I think that it's a little crazy to sit there and say, oh, without God, then you no longer know what's right and wrong. Because I mean, that shit just doesn't go away like that. It's still there. But okay, let's see. There's that. And then the third thing was the third thing. First thing was morality. Second thing was freedom. Oh, nihilism. Atheism is nihilism. Obviously, atheists still find meaning in life. In fact, I would say that, at least for me, I found way more meaning in my life after I left religion. So, I don't see this. Oh, there's more meaning if you believe in a God. The thing with the whole meaning under God is that everybody has the exact same meaning. And that exact same meaning is to please God. Like, what's the meaning to life under a religion, specifically an Abrahamic one? It's to do whatever pleases God. And that's it. That's the meaning to life under that. And I'm like, fuck that. I have a different idea of what my life means to not only me, but other people. So it just, I don't know. He's not very convincing, and I don't think anybody should be convinced. All of the things that he talks about being unexplained are easily explained. It's just that he can't fathom the explanation because he believes in God, and he doesn't see any way at all to explain it without God. But it's just, I think it's just a failure to be able to put himself into somebody else's shoes. And the fact that we don't have a book that tells us what is right and wrong doesn't mean that we can't determine what's right and wrong. But in any case, we jump back to the main screen here. Whew. Tonight's been a little bit of a clusterfuck, but I'm glad that you guys have stuck with me here. You guys are awesome. I'm so happy to have all of y'all here. Thank you so much for everybody that's done a super chat tonight. You guys have been awesome, and I guess we're about to get out of here, but we are going to be doing the Skeptic Mafia comments. If you guys don't know, if you become a Skeptic Mafia member, you can leave a comment that I will read about the video, and you'll be able to see the video before we actually live stream it. And so that's what we're about to do right now. In case you're unaware, a portion of the revenue that we generate here on the channel is going to be going to a charity each month. We've done it every single month this year. And this month, we're going to be getting in touch with Kids to Love. We're going to be buying Christmas presents for foster kids. And so if you want to help us out, do a super chat, become a member, and or just watch our videos. That also very much helps. So I'm going to be getting to the Skeptic Mafia comments. If you will, please leave a like on this video. Since we kind of broke up the stream here, it's going to be a little hard for this to get out to people. So smashing that like button, leaving a comment, all that kind of good shit is really going to go a long way to helping everybody see the live stream tonight. So if y'all could do that, that would be awesome. But in any case, I hope y'all have an awesome weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday. Bye, heathens. Oh, don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens. But don't go, because we do have the Skeptic Mafia comments that I'm getting to right now. Let's see. Nathan over on Facebook said you're pretty awesome too.
You know, donating this much only makes me drink more.
Oh, what the fuck? Now the notifications are up.
We got a new
Everybody
member.
shit's gonna start coming in. I think so. I mean,
you know, donating this much only makes me drink
they're
more.
catching up.
You know, donating this much only makes me drink more. You know.
Okay, sorry. I'm gonna have to turn that off because I was manually keeping up with them. So it's just gonna have to do that. All right. So let me get the Skeptic Mafia shit going.
Gobble till you wobble, y'all.
Daniel M says it all comes together in the end. That's right. Let's see. I think it's still going. Maybe. All right. So first up, we got Jonathan Hanachek, who says, fucking dumbass. The what? Oh, name calling. Yeah. Jason Kolosik says, most people live in a society, play by society's rules. You watch my back, I'll watch yours. Anti-maskers seem to have forgotten this unspoken agreement. Your God showed us the greatest evil by causing mass genocide. Luckily, we follow society's morality. We don't attack the neighbor for mowing the lawn on Sunday. After all, he might do mine too. Atheists don't believe in your crap, so we find our own rules and goals. That's true there, Jason. I agree. It's you bring up the whole masker thing. I mean, you've got several people that are Christian that are sitting there saying that, oh, I'm not gonna wear a mask. Why would I fucking wear a mask? And it amazes me that people can be so heartless for their fellow man. I'd say that he says that after all, he might do mine. There's a chance to roll that D20 and see if it comes up. Yeah, I don't know. Next up, we got Hellbound Hillbilly that says the consequences of atheism would be more accurately stated as giving up the convenience of objective morality in favor of a system of subjective morality, wherein I consider the effect of an action on those around me to determine if that action is moral. By giving up the dictated morality of the religious sect of my youth, I also give up the illusion of forgiveness for my moral failings. Okay, y'all, I need to write this out long form instead of trying to get GE to read it all here because this is getting out of hand. But if you want to get GE to read your bizarre, wordy ramblings on the stream, you should join the Skeptic Mafia. There's a podcast, emojis, a private Discord, and a bunch of other stuff. But if you really need a moral argument for it, part of your monthly membership goes to charity. You can't get much more moral than that. I know, right? I agree. Next up is Sean J, who says justice is a social agreement among a subset of the population. Morals are a social agreement among a subset of the population. Those that agree X is unacceptable behavior and those that agree X is acceptable behavior. The Code of Hammurabi is secular law that predates your monotheism. That's a good point about the Code of Hammurabi because, I mean, legit predates a lot of shit. Next up, we got Drew's book reviews. Says, can't claim things are evil if God does not exist. Heard that one before. I'm sure GE debunked that one better than I could. But he is trying to equate morality with physical properties, atoms. Physical properties of atoms. I can't even begin to understand how that equates to in any real sense. Without a God, there is no freedom. That's a good one. I do remember being free when I was religious to choose God or eternal damnation if I did not live how God demanded. It was a great choice, really, if you don't mind your family being held ransom for eternity. I have come to have a very nihilistic view. The outcome in the longer term is the ultimately death of the universe, but the idea that because of that, I think that there is no point in doing anything is stupidity at its finest. I have one life to live. I will die, and that will be the end of me one day. There is nothing after this life as far as I'm concerned, and I am just fine with that. So while I am around, I will just be the best person I can because it does not really matter in the long run, but it does matter in the short term because I am here now. So live life. It's not that hard to understand. Anyway, heathens, I will leave you with the customary tagline. Until next time, keep on reading. Thank you there, Drew. I appreciate you. Next, we got Alex Baranowski, who says, if there is no God, there is no justice. I beg to differ. If there's such things as an afterlife, why should we bother solving real problems in this world and helping people? If we get eternity in a heaven for just believing in God, it doesn't matter what we do on earth. It's even worse if Sky Daddy forgives you, say sorry. Then you get to do whatever you want. You're controlled by the laws of physics, yes, and that's a bad thing. How? I can't with the atheism leads to nihilism. He in no way demonstrates the truth of a religion. He just makes an appeal to comfort. I should also mention I couldn't watch the vid. I listened to the audio, but there are too many distracting items in the background for me to watch the video portion. Did this want to be referred to me as his friend? I don't want to be his friend. Fuck off. Insert one shill here. Thank you there, Alex. I appreciate you. As far as a shill goes, we normally have a special podcast that posts for Skeptic Mafia members. We do have one recorded, and I just got to get it put together, and then y'all will be able to have it. So if y'all want to get in on that, then you got to become a Skeptic Mafia member today. I Heart Dogs left us a comment saying Christians are made up of atoms too. What's his point? There is no evidence we were created by his God or in a God's image. If I hit his hypothetical woman crossing the street, I'll get arrested for assault and battery. Therefore, my actions are meaningful via their consequences in real life. Being forced to obey a God's orders is not freedom. We don't choose our beliefs. We become convinced. Nihilism is a Christian fever dream based on out of context quote mining of atheists. Fail well, join the Skeptic Mafia and get the whale peen and other cool stuff like the robot devil, the shill earth, KC's what the fuck face, and me going lol. Hit that like button and share and ring-a-ling that ding. Thank you, I Heart Dogs. Then we got Diesel Jester, who says, oh, there we go. Premise 1. If there is no God, then there is no justice. Dude, we are rational beings who can develop our own systems of justice. Just because you can't reconcile the fact that, yes, sometimes bad people go free and get away with shit, doesn't automatically mean that your magical sky daddy is going to get them in the end. Well. Premise 2. If there is no God, then there is no freedom, says the man who worships a being that demands that you love him or burn in hell for eternity. Right, that's freedom. Premise 3. Atheism leads to nihilism. No, that just means that we just value this life more than dedicating time and energy to a supposed afterlife that more than likely doesn't exist. Once again, another theist is ignorant as to what atheism actually is. Torbjorn Lindberg says, 1 minute in and I already hated this guy. First, he just ignores the difference between absolute and relative morals in order to shoehorn in an argument from consequences, while strawmanning everything that moves. And he understands Nietzsche about as well as I just spelled his name. Nietzsche isn't easy to spell, but harder to understand, especially in translation. Then we get to his second point, and now I'm seriously considering breaking something. The facts are exactly the opposite of what he claims. Freedom can only exist if there's no almighty God. Not that many atheists believe in it regardless. And finally, we get to the slippery slope of atheism leads to nihilism, which is only a poisoning the well and another argument from consequences as well. And then he completely misrepresents Bertrand Russell, which is just sick given the deep, thoughtful comment about observable reality he chose to quote mine the shit out of. In its context, Russell's comment is basically noting that starting with comfortable self-delusion in order to avoid an uncomfortable truth makes everything afterwards false and useless. So honest thinkers should accept that there probably are no higher purpose. But most importantly, none of his points are consequences of atheism. They are consequences of there being no God, regardless if anyone thinks so or not. Even if everyone thought there was a God, those would still be the facts if everyone is wrong. Reality does not care what we believe. One more person who should sit down, shut up, and listen. Thank you there, Torbjorn. Appreciate it. Then we got the Derp Squirrels. Derp Squirrels say the Aztecs believed that gods are there to merely guide humans, to give them life, but they didn't derive meaning from their gods nor morals. Aside from the whole blood for blood god thing, i.e., sacrificing humans in order to ensure that the sun gets her sacrifice so that the stars don't devour her, yes, that is part of the Aztec beliefs. I think the Aztecs had it right. The gods merely created us, then buggered off. Though they did care for their creations, Quetzalcoatl risking their own life in order to restore humans from the bones found in Mictlan, or, you're just, Chrismer, you're just doing this to, like, make me fumble these words, huh? Chalachataluku, who upon hearing her humans didn't really adore her, cried tears of blood for 42 days. Anyway, I digress. My point is this: he's proposing yet again a false dichotomy. You either believe in his God or you don't, which is utter bullshit. Now I'm just going to finish this off with a bit of a unicorn chaser ASCII. Enjoy. It's a deal with it. Because these assholes need to deal with the fact that their belief system isn't the only fucking one out there, and it pisses me off because pagans like me are left out of the goddamn conversation all the time. Sorry, that went on for a bit too far there. I'll just leave the shilling up to John. Blessed be, y'all. Thank you so much there, Chrismer. If you want to become a member here on the channel, we do have that special Discord. But we also have a monthly hangout that I'm currently. I have one IOU, and then I still have to get this month's hangout in, which might have to be next weekend. I think is what it might have to be. Then we got Command Cyborg. It says, "Hello world. Not having a moral framework without a god is gibberish. And what does your god build his supposed moral on anyway? Is it an objective absolute standard outside of him? If so, no god needed. Or is it God said so because that's how he wants it on his own merit? Because in the latter case, it's just arbitrary and God's might makes right, which is a whole lot of wrong, judging by what the Bible tells people in it to do, and God does himself also. No, freedom has nothing to do with whether there's a God. There can be or not be free will in both cases. No, atheism leading to nihilism is a black and white fallacy, or in other words, false dichotomy. I'll wave this at you for saying stupid things, and that's the whale peeing. I don't know if y'all know this, but the testicles on a blue whale can weigh about 150 pounds. Just saying. Yeah, stop quote mining. Russell said right after what you said, that's not the end point of the trail of thought. Well. Yeah, no, Christianity doesn't make sense. Cool story, bro. And then smash all the buttons, ring a ding dong, join the mafia and play with the emoticons like all of those. And that's all, folks. Thank you and good night. Transmission terminated. Then we got Trickster, who says, as usual, he begins by poisoning the well, by misrepresenting what atheists believe, building a straw man he can knock easier than if he represented atheists by the true definition. He continues by stating that by an atheist you lose freedom and are forced to believe as you are told to. Projection much? He talks about having atheist friends, but I don't think he has many atheist friends. And as a matter of fact, I don't believe he has even talked to any atheists. If he had, he might understand more about why he is wrong about what most atheists believe, or in this case, don't believe. He has to be open to being corrected first, and I don't think that Andy is really open to being corrected on these points, so like, subscribe, and share, and as always, stand up and use your voice. Oh, wait, I skipped something. In the long run, belief is not a choice. You don't choose to believe in Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. You either do or you don't. Wash your hands and always accept only things that can be proven and not just someone telling stories about things they have no proof for. Bye, y'all. Wish I could spend time with you tonight, but duty calls. Sometimes it really sucks to be grown. I feel you on that one. Then we got Jonathan Nickel. Nearing the end here. Ah, good, you have enabled comments. For a time, I was under the impression that the Skeptic Mafia comment section of your video might be a little shorter than usual. Allow me to correct that. We're back to Andy Bannister. somebody or Andy Bannister, someone who can't seem to get anything right. He asks, what are the implications if God doesn't exist? He doesn't specify which God, though, but he is a Christian. We can deduce which God he is describing. We could be nitpicky and ask, what if his God doesn't exist, but some other God or gods did? That would lead us to ask questions of his other God or gods, though, and make my comment even longer than usual. For the sake of time, let's look at the implication if no gods exist. That would mean we were free to live our lives without the hindrance or the trappings of religion. We need not fear the concept of sin. Society would be far more tolerant and less bigoted, and many foundations for these attitudes grounded in religion would not exist. People would search for answers to their questions, though through reason and evidence, without assuming that they had been given the answers already or that someone else is running everything behind the scenes, so they don't have to. This would lead to a free, open, educated, and scientifically literate society. Or is that just the dream? The truth is, whether or not there is a God, there are still religions. There are still so called holy books, and there are still people who believe in them. So we might still need to reject all the claims of religion before we can achieve our full potential. Andy believes that without God, there can be no good and evil, no basis for making value judgments, and ultimately nihilism. Good and evil are subjective terms, and how you use them depends largely on your values and opinions. To assert that God and evil come to assert that good and evil come from God, not only do you need to believe in said God and that you know his mind, you must also assume that this God is himself good and that his views can be trusted. This means that those who assert that the God or gods they believe in is good have already made an independent moral judgment of their own. I would therefore ask anyone who claims that all good comes from their God how they arrived at that conclusion. I certainly wouldn't judge the Bible good to be good. Certainly not the jealous, angry, intolerant, misogynistic, genocidal tyrant described in the Bible. I am free to make that decision, even in his absence. I do not require or view religion as any form of moral foundation. On the contrary, I would not trust any religion as any sort of moral guide. I look at whether actions are helpful or harmful overall. A number of atheists have described well being as their basis for morality, and I would agree that is an excellent foundation. I am certainly not a nihilist. Yes, life is short and everything we do will eventually be lost and forgotten, but we are still around in the here and now, and our actions will affect those around us. I am not too concerned with 1,000 or 1,000,000 years in the future. If I am to be remembered when I am gone, I would hope that people may say that I made a positive contribution of some kind. He concludes by incorrectly asserting that atheism is a worldview, as many atheists claim. It isn't, but I would expect someone like Andy to understand that. He ultimately views atheism as this empty void where there's nothing that matters and existence is worthless. I would assert that Andy is not only wrong, but he is factually wrong. I do not need a God to give my life meaning, and I would even suggest that if God did exist, and in fact, a God might even devalue our existence, especially if our ultimate purpose is to pucker up and kiss his backside for all eternity, as Christianity asserts. A limit next week. Okay. Nikki says, firstly, Dawkins, Krauss, and Nietzsche. Of course, he's pulling examples out of the dumpster fire. Secondly, while secular justice can be like that, today would be a great example. It's still light years better than anything from the Bible. Thirdly, yes, our brain chemistry is what governs our choices and opinions, and that is governed by the laws of physics. So free will isn't an illusion. I don't see a problem with that. Fourthly, yes, all of that will happen. Nothing lasts forever. I'm fine with that. All things must end, but something always comes afterward. That means everything is always in a state of transition, and that is just super. And that is just super. Finally, we got Satan's little helper who says, Freedom goes out the window if we don't believe in your sky daddy. Really? But God can ask us to believe in him, but there's a little secret beliefs. There's a little secret. Beliefs are not like a light bulb. You can't just turn them on and off. Also, I think it's funny that an all-powerful God needs somebody to believe in him to just save someone from burning from hell. Good old Christian logic. They only limiting their God only when it fits in their narrative. Also, I don't care if your God is real or not, because to me, I wouldn't worship him anyway. He is like a bad ex that won't leave you alone, telling you that they gave you everything and that you owe them. You do realize that's why we get restraining orders. All good, my ass. He sounds like a creep. Thank you, there, Satan's little helper, and everybody that left a comment tonight. It's getting to the point where we do need to move things along. So with everybody, putting their 2 cents in, we do need to try to start limiting them, guys. I know, I saw. Looks like we haven't had any more super chats. I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Thank you, everybody, like Sirnian and, of course, KC in the chat for moderating. Thank you so much for that. We got Griffin Winter and another guitarist, Atu Bell Praiser. I know. As far as our poll goes, we ended the poll with 70% of people watching tonight are fed up with Dawkins getting brought up. Cadence, help us. Thank you so much there, Cadence. Like I said, I appreciate you guys. I need to go, but it was awesome seeing you guys here. Remember, smash that like button before you leave out. It would also help me if you left a comment on this video. So please do that. Leave a comment on that other video too, because it's going to be split up, which I hate, but that's just how it goes. But in any case, y'all have an awesome weekend. Next week is going to be kind of a director's cut week because it's, Thanksgiving week and it's also my birthday week, which I didn't do a birthday song. So, yeah. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear G. Happy birthday to me. I'm really not that self-involved. No, I mean, I was just, yeah. But anyways, I will see you guys next week with some director's cuts, and it's going all the way back to January, so maybe y'all won't remember them. But in any case, we'll see you guys then. Y'all have a nice night, and see you guys Monday. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye.